Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing well. So welcome to this Ask Me Anything session, and today's focus is going to be on the Maharashtra MBA CET and the JBIMS admission process. So if you have any queries regarding either the Maharashtra MBA CET or the JBIMS admission process for all its programs, which is basically the three 2-year full-time programs that they have. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be very happy if I can answer your queries as part of this session. So thank you so much for joining, and let's get started very quickly. So if you have any queries, you can start putting now in the YouTube chat section. I'll be taking all the questions that I get there. Now what I'm also going to do is just give a brief overview before we get started with the questions, because a lot of students have concerns, queries regarding how exactly the process works. Do they need to do anything at this point of time for JBIMS application, etc. So I just want to share the basic information that is out there so that all of you have that common understanding, and then we can take the questions that I get here. So let's begin, and first things first. So you have to understand that JBIMS has 3 2-year full-time programs that they offer, and the admission process for the 3 programs is different. So for the first program, which is basically the Master of Management Studies program, this is the flagship MBA equivalent program, as it is known, something that the institute has been offering since 1965, and basically the program that everybody wants to be a part of, right? So when you hear JBIMS and people are saying, okay, I want to study at JBIMS, they're basically talking about this particular program. The second program that they have is an MSc Finance program, which was started slightly more than, I think, 10 years back. And then there is an MHRD program, which I think has completed about 5+ years now. So these 3 programs, the admission process is different, and all of it is conducted after the MBA CET result. So there is nothing that you have to do at this point of time for any of these programs. Only after CET is conducted and the CET result is out, the application process will begin. The difference is that for the first program, which is the Master of Management Studies program, JBIMS does not conduct the admission process. The admission process is conducted by the Maharashtra MBA CET cell through a process called Centralized Admission Process, or which is called CAP. That is the process that is followed for admission. JBIMS has no role to play in the selection process. The admission process entirely works on your CET or your All India test score, what you have in your 10th standard, 12th standard, graduation, your communication skills, your extracurriculars, none of that matters from the admission perspective. So everything is dependent on the test score that you get. The second and the third program, which is the MSc Finance and the MHRD program, these are governed by JBIMS directly, so they control the admission process. The way it is conducted is that after the CET result is out, they will have a notification regarding this. You have to make a direct application to the B school, to JBIMS, that you are interested in this program, and they conduct separately. So for MSc Finance, there's a separate process. For MHRD, there's a separate process. Okay, so that is how the 3 programs are structured, right? And that is how the admission process works. I'll start taking some questions. First question is, how often do we take mocks from now? Okay, now see, when you look at CET mocks, there is no fixed number that one should be looking at, right? I mean, I'm not going to say, okay, all of you take 10 mocks or 20 mocks or 30 mocks. It depends on how much you need as an individual. Because in some cases, we have seen that even with 10 mocks, people have felt very confident about their preparation. And in some cases, even after 15 or 20 mocks, the students are not very confident. A decent enough number, I would say, is 20. So we also offer 20 full-length tests to our students. And considering in the last few years now, CET has also started giving out the actual paper. We also added that in my IMS. So 20-25 total tests if you take, and now the CET cell also provides additional mocks for practice. 3 are complimentary that you get when you register for CET. I think that's a good enough number. So if you're an IMS student, I would say you're taken care of in terms of the number of mocks that you should be taking. Now, how often you should take it? I would say your frequency should be in the beginning, right? So considering we have about 66, 67 odd days that are ahead of us, I think you can definitely do a mock every 3 days, right? That's a good strategy to have, which will take you to about 22 mocks. But you can also have slightly lower frequency right now in the month of, I mean, we are in Jan right now, almost towards the end of it. But in Feb, you can have slightly low frequency, which can be increased in the month of March. So you don't have to take too many mocks in Feb. A decent number, I would say, is somewhere around 7 to 8 mocks also if you are able to take in Feb, and the remaining you take in March, that's also okay. So if I have to split, say if I'm planning to take 25 mocks, my classification would be, or the split will be something like 10 mocks in Feb, 15 mocks in March, and then I basically just plan it, I space it out nicely. Question from Aditya Gupta. My CMAT didn't go well, so can I attempt ATMA and MAT for JBIMS? Aditya, thanks for asking that question, because that was the next thing that I was going to talk about. So for the MMS process, right? So again, this is where a lot of students don't understand the process completely, and they don't take the tests that are necessary to be a part of this. So what you're seeing is essentially the seat matrix of JBIMS. Now, what this tells you is that, so there are 102 MS seats, which is essentially Maharashtra state seats, and then there are 18 All India seats. Okay. Now, a Maharashtra state student can technically apply to both MS as well as All India seats. Okay, because when you say All India, Maharashtra is also a part of that. But what is the main difference between MS seats and All India seats is that for MS seats, only CET score is accepted. Whereas for All India seats, it is CET, CAT, CMAT, MAT, ATMA, etc. Because they are looking at All India test. So if let's say somebody who is not from Maharashtra has taken the CMAT, that student can apply to All India seats, correct? But a Maharashtra student who has taken, let's say, both CET and CMAT, depending on his or her score, can apply either for MS seats or for All India seat. Okay, so depending on your score, you will take that decision at a later point of time. Right now, you don't have to worry about it so much. You have to take more tests. So when you look at the process that is followed, they accept the CAT 25 score, they will accept CET, CMAT, ZAT, MAT, ATMA and GMAT. Okay, so MAT and ATMA scores will also be accepted because there is no indication at this point of time that they will not be accepting it. So let's assume that they're going to accept it. See, because for a long time there have been talks that they should not accept MAT, ATMA, etc. But they haven't done anything about it, so mostly they will accept. Which means that before the CAP process begins, which will typically be July, prior to that you should have your MAT and ATMA score as well. So the upcoming MAT and ATMA, whenever that happens, see, MAT and ATMA are conducted 4 times a year. So the only problem with that is MAT and ATMA don't have a lot of takers. So they don't have a very huge number of takers, because of which what has also happened in the past is in ATMA, for example, it happened that there was nobody who scored more than 99.98 percentile, which means that even though you have taken ATMA, because you haven't got a 99.99, your 99.98 in ATMA will not suffice. Okay, so that may happen. Having said that, it is still a bet that you should be taking. So as somebody who is seriously thinking or wanting to get into JBIMS, I think you should be taking MAT and ATMA as well. So CMAT, of course, now it's done. So those of you who have not taken CMAT, there's nothing that can be done. But definitely look at MAT and ATMA. Whether you're a Maharashtra candidate or not a Maharashtra candidate, you should consider this. Also, for non-Maharashtra candidates, you can take the MAH-MBA CET. It's just that this year they don't have any centers outside Maharashtra. So you'll have to make the effort to travel and take the test. But if you really want to get into JBIMS and some of the other top colleges through the MAH-MBA CET, I think it's worth the effort. Okay. So, so Aditya, I hope that answers your question. You should definitely take ATMA and MAT as well for JBIMS. Lovely Eagle, will CAT and OMET prep will be enough for basic prep for CET? Okay, so if you're prepared for CAT and other exams, let's say SNAP, NMAT, ZAT, etc., your basic preparation for CET is done. There isn't much to be done differently for CET. Of course, there are a couple of areas in CET that are very unique. One is, of course, the abstract reasoning, which is visual reasoning. That's 25 marks out of 200. So definitely you have to prepare for that. The LR section of CET is also challenging because it is 75 questions out of 200, so a very sizable chunk. And there you have a lot of questions related to whether it is coding, decoding, series, blood relations and things like that. But the logical puzzles, right? So especially the set-based logical puzzles, which could be LR caselets as we call them, that could be anything like 15, 20, 30 questions as well. So that is something that you'll have to prepare for. But as a CAT OMET aspirant, the core is done. So your core syllabus is covered. But these additional things you'll have to do, and definitely a lot of mock taking. When is the best time to begin prep if the syllabus is different from CAT? As I said, lovely eagle to continue from the previous response, you can start right away. See, because right now what all tests are remaining, right? I mean, MyCAT is remaining, MyCAT 2. You also have PGDBA, but I'm not sure whether there's a lot of overlap between students who are taking the PGDBA and preparing for CET. So I think you can start right away. You don't have to wait. Okay, what about Pumba? How worth is it? Okay, so this is from Prathamesh Thakre. So I'm just going to show one particular document to you, which will help you to understand where Pumba is placed. Okay, so what you are seeing essentially is the third round cutoffs from last year. Now, what this essentially shows is like the rough ranking of the CET B schools that you have. So at the top, you will see JBIMS, right? Then you have Sydenham, and then you have Wellinger. So when somebody says, okay, what are the top 3 institutes that I can get through the MAH-MBA CET? The answer is JBIMS, Sydenham, and Wellinger. Now, the next that you have is Pumba. Okay, so Pumba, which is the Pune University MBA, has a pretty high cutoff. From a placement perspective, see, the numbers are not great the moment you are out of, say, I would say top 10 institutes, right? And you have to figure out whether the placement numbers, is it something that you want to have for yourself? So see, no college is, I would say, good or bad. It depends whether it is the right fit for you or not, correct? So you have to evaluate it from that point of view. You have to look at your current life situation and then decide. But coming back to the ranking, so you have JB, Sydenham, Wellinger, then comes Pumba, Pune University MBA, then you have SIES Mumbai, COIP. So in different tables, so depending on round 1, round 2, etc., you might see the positions getting switched. So you might see COIP to be slightly better than SIES in some cases, SIS being slightly better the way it happened here. Then Chetna, MET, and Lala. So that is where the top 10 ends, correct? After that, and typically the requirement for, so these are all India cutoffs that you are seeing there, and this is a very good proxy, I would say, for the ranking that exists. See, there's no ranking that exists also, it's just the perception of students, but typically that this is the order that we would follow. So Pumba is okay, I would say, but again depends on where you are in your life situation. Ritika Mohite, does JBIMS consider the first attempt of CET or best of both? So see, CET is happening for the very first time this year. It will be conducted twice. So till last year, there used to be only one attempt of CET, which used to happen in March. And this year, they have made this change that there will be 2 attempts. So there will be the April attempt and there will be May attempt. See, ultimately, your final admission happens on the basis of percentile that you get. So that is why your percentile will matter. Now, whether you take it in the first attempt in April or you take the second attempt, the max percentile that you have, that is what is going to make the difference. So whether you take the first attempt or both attempts or the second attempt, it doesn't really matter. Your best percentile is what they will look at. Okay, this is from Karthik, I'm guessing. I'm from Ahmedabad, so if I fill MAH-MBA CET form for that, how much JBIMS seats are there? Also, we have to go to Mumbai or the Maharashtra state for exam. Yeah, so as I mentioned, right, when you're looking at the admission process, right, as somebody who is from Ahmedabad, who does not have any connection with respect to Maharashtra domicile, and why I say any connection with Maharashtra domicile is because there are definitions of it. One is, for example, you yourself have a domicile certificate, but even if you don't have it, but your parents have it, then that can also be used. So there is a document on the CET Cell website wherein they have given who is basically a Maharashtra state candidate. There are, I think, some 4 or 5 definitions of it. If you don't fit into any of those definitions, then you are competing for 18 seats. Now for CET, you will definitely have to travel to Maharashtra this year and take this test because there are no centers that are available outside. If you look at the CET form, you don't see anything which is outside Maharashtra. So I would say you can put Mumbai as a center. That would be pretty convenient, and you come and take the test and see what happens. Question from Shruti: should we take any classes for CET as I've already studied for CAT, ZAT, SNAP, etc.? Will mocks be enough? Okay, so if you're an IMS student, anyway, your prep is taken care of. You have all the resources that you need in the form of ADMAT practice ADMAT master classes, and the CET mocks and the past year papers. Now, if you are a non-IMS student, I think then also if you're prepared for CATs at SNAP, I think that's good enough. You just need to focus a lot on mocks. So you can look at the mock test series that we offer. Question from Shreya. Shreyas, how many seats are available for general Maharashtra domicile candidate in JBIMS and the rank that is required? So for a general Maharashtra state candidate, the number of seats that you're looking at is 39. And if you're in top 50, 55, there is a good chance. Because when I say top 50, 55, there would be some category students as well, which will be part of that. There will be some students who are not from Maharashtra featuring in the top 50, 55 as well, who will eventually go to the All India seats. So if you're somewhere in that 50-55 rank zone, as a general candidate, you definitely have a shot at JBIMS. Again, a question from Karthik or Kartikeya. I'm not very sure what it is, but let's go ahead. We have separately filled CAP form or under CET it covers. No, you have to fill CAP form separately. Also, CAP forms are released after CET result or before CET result. They are released after CET result. If we get 99.99, we will directly get JBIMS admission, no interview and GD. The answer is yes. Okay. Question from Ronak. In HSC mark section in the CET registration form, I had 6 subjects. For percentage calculation, best of 5 were chosen. Should I consider best of 5 or all subjects? See, the right practice to go about is to include all the subjects. So you can include all the subjects and then use that. If you want to enter best of 5, that's also fine. See, because where exactly they use it is only when there is tie situation to decide the ranking. So in the CET document also they have this very silly thing that they have mentioned as to how do they break tie when 2 students have the exact same score or percentile in this case. So yeah, I mean, I think you can include all the subjects and that should be fine. Chaitya Shah, right now we have to only fill the form for Maharashtra CET and nothing else for JBIMS particularly. That's absolutely correct. There's nothing that you need to do right now, today. Fill the Maharashtra MBA CET form, appear for MBA CET, let the result come out, and then after that, the centralized admission process will begin. Okay, Lovely Eagle, what is the criteria to be eligible for MS seats? I have done my 10-12 from Maharashtra, but I don't have a domicile certificate. So firstly, you have to check whether you can yourself get a domicile certificate. Just check the eligibility. You can visit the local municipal office and just check whether what is the requirement to get a domicile certificate. See if you have all the documents with you and just get it done, right? So I've seen a lot of students who are eligible to get a domicile certificate, but they don't make it. If you're done your 10, 12 graduation, let's say in Maharashtra, right? You are eligible to get a domicile. Just get it done, finish it off. But let's say you don't have it today, but your parents have been staying here, they have a domicile certificate, you can use that as well. But just to be safe, you get yourself your own domicile certificate. Just check if you're eligible in the first place or not. Question from Chirayu, I'm preparing for both CET as well as CAT 26. How can I plan? Okay, so I mean, if you're preparing for CAT 26, why bother with this year's CET? Okay, that's the first question that I would ask you. And if your focus is CAT 26, right? CET, you can just take it for fun. I mean, you don't have to prepare anything because for you, the actual CET will be CET 27. See, the way season works, right? It starts with CAT, generally ends with Maharashtra MBA CET. So season for you is going to be CAT 26 and then all the other exams and then finally MBA CET in 27. Now this year for CET, if you are eligible and you want to take it, please go ahead, just attempt the test, have fun, let's see how much you get. If you're seriously planning to take it, then you should take a few mocks. As I mentioned, the CET cell also offers 3 complimentary mocks. You can take those and that should be enough, right? Because I'm guessing that you're not planning to get admitted in 26. You want to join a B school in 27, the reason for which you're taking CAT 26. When will IMS start practice sessions or master classes? So all of that content is already there in my IMS. So all master classes are available in the recorded format. They're already there. You also have the ADMAT practice, which gives you a lot of question solving practice. So with CET, what happens is a lot of it depends on how much you're practicing. So how many questions you're solving. So the ADMAT practice offers a lot of questions. Similarly, ADMAT master classes, there are 20 ADMAT master classes. And then there are full length tests that we have given. I'm getting around 100 in mocks. This is from Shantanu. I'm getting around 100 in mocks. Is it possible to increase it to 150 plus till CT, and how to go about it? So that's a good question. Yes, it is possible. The one thing that you have to focus on is, see, when you do 100 questions or you get, let's say, 100 marks, there are 100 other questions that either you are not able to solve or you got wrong. Now you have to figure out what are the subjects, right? What are the topics from which these questions are appearing? Are there any particular patterns that you're able to see? So maybe you realize that, okay, I'm not able to solve geometry questions, or I'm not able to solve, say, abstract reasoning questions involving series. So then you keep practicing those question types through the ADMAT practice that we have given. So you always have to figure out what are these remaining questions, what topics they are from. Let me work on those topics before I take my next mock, because otherwise there's no growth, right? So otherwise, if you just keep taking mocks without studying, it will marginally improve your score. But if you take a mock, analyze it well, go back to your books, study additional concepts, then come back and take a next test, that will improve your score over a period of time. Okay, so generally 60 plus days is good enough to improve your score. Exactly whether you'll be able to hit 150 or not, that nobody can say, but then you put all the effort that is needed to get there. Okay. Right now we have to only fill the form for Maharashtra CT. Okay, I've already answered that. For Maharashtra student, is cutoff low for MAT and ATMA just like CET for JBMS? No. So when they look at these all India seats, right, 18 all India seats, they consider all tests at par, which means somebody's CET 99.99 is equivalent to somebody's CMAT 99.99, which is equivalent to somebody's, say, a ZAT 99.99. So they don't distinguish between what's the relative difficulty of these tests and how many people took the test and all of that. It's just the percentile that they will look at. So when we saw previously the all India cutoffs, which the round 3 cutoffs that we saw, as you can see, the cutoff was 99.98. Now at generally the cutoff is 99.99 and very rarely 99.98. As you can see, the all India rank of the person who got in was 55, and that includes Maharashtra state as well as non-Maharashtra candidates, correct? So if you're somebody who is thinking of getting into JBIMS, you would need a 99.98 plus, which is basically 99.99 in a CET or a CMAT or a MAT or an ATMA, right? Question from Sakshi. I want to ask, what are the books one should solve to get 100 percentile, as I already scored 99.09 percentile last year, and I want to solve more tougher level questions than Maharashtra MBA CET. I don't think any book in the market does justice to what CET has to offer. I would say you take more and more online mock tests, which will help you. On their website, they're telling MAT and ATMA are not accepted for MMS JBMS. Okay, firstly, don't visit JBMS website. Okay, that's my simple recommendation to anybody, because JBMS website does not contain details of the MMS admission process, and a lot of students get misguided because of that. See, because JBMS does not even control that admission process, right? So they haven't even put that information. Ideally they should have, but they haven't. So that is why don't look at the MMS website or the JBMS website detailing the MMS program admission process. Warrior, please keep practice sessions in IMS for abstract reasoning and VRC. Need a lot of practice for that. Sure, we'll plan something. So don't worry. Feedback taken. We'll do something in Feb and March. Question from Raj. In mocks, I'm getting 120 to 130. That's a decent score. Getting rank under 30 MH candidate. Is it possible to get to a 99.9? See, at a 130, definitely you're in a position to scale up. Correct. See, anybody can scale up from any particular point. So let's say you're at 80 now. Can I go to say 100 or 110 in the next couple of days? The answer is yes. But a lot of it depends on how many questions you've solved. So the exposure, that's number one. The second is what is the rigor that you have, right? So do you have the discipline to sit? Do you also take it as seriously as possible? Do you do thorough mock analysis, etc.? And then of course the strategy element. So how do you manage yourself during the test? So if you, let's say, get a difficult section, then what do you do? When do you switch? How much time you are taking per question, per section? So are you looking at all of those data points? So there's a lot of analysis and strategy element that goes in the CET preparation. And I've taken CET many times in my life, and I've done reasonably well, I would say, in all of the attempts, most of the attempts I would say, not all of them. But every time, or rather let me talk about my first and the second attempt, because when I was a student that is more relevant. The first attempt of CET that I took was when I was in the final year of graduation, and I had a 99.3637, that was the score, with a score of 136 out of 200 raw. Now, on that percentile, of course, I didn't get JBIMS. So I decided to take CET once again. And between that first and the second attempt, a lot of things had changed. I was more prepared for CAT and other exams as well. But specifically for CET, I focused on taking a lot of mock tests. And every mock I used to analyze very well, figure out where I'm going wrong. So the exposure was definitely much more. And I had also put in a lot of rigor. And that time what happened was, in most mocks I was scoring on average about 150, 155, that used to be the range. And eventually I was able to get 163. Okay. The difference of course in those two attempts was, as I said, the number of questions, which is exposure, and the rigor that you put yourself through, right? So, and the strategy element was always there. So that is how it helped. The more topics you solve, the better you will be, obviously. Is XIME a good college? Decent, I would say. See, again, don't get into college comparisons at this point of time. What you should do is look at the placement numbers. That is the first thing. Now, if you think the average, the median numbers are in line with what my aspiration is, then you can apply to the B school. If they are either too low, or let's say your profile is very different compared to the typical batch profile, then it may not make sense to apply to that B school. Okay. See, the moment you see something where, let's say you are currently at say 10 LPA, and now you see a B school which is offering say 13, 14, 15 LPA on average, I think it's a good bet to take. But if you're at 10, you see a B school offering 8 LPA average, what's the point? I mean, why are you even applying? So that is how you have to take decisions. And see, after you convert, right, then you have enough time to decide whether I should join or not. Should we take both exam like SNAP? Yes, you should. This is something that I clarified in my form filling video as well that I made on the MBA CET, that it is better that you attempt both the April and the May CET. I'm not having any connection from Maharashtra, so how much percentile to get into JBIMS? As you can see here, 99.98. In most years that has not been sufficient. So 99.99 should be the target. Karan, what are the topics to be covered or more focused for QA and LR? So they have a complete spread. They ask across the board. But in QA, definitely arithmetic is something that you should focus a lot on, followed by, I would say, algebra and numbers, from which a lot of questions appear. And when it comes to LR section, LR caselets is the most dominant part of it. Typically 20-25 questions also you can get. And then question types such as input output, series, analogies, coding decoding, blood relations, clocks, calendars, all of that. Is JB or SIMSRI possible if I start fresh now? Possible, but then see, I can't comment on it unless I see at least a few mock scores. So I can't really say for sure that you will be able to make it, right? I mean, I don't know anything about you. So unless you come with some mock score data, as some of the students had mentioned, right, I'll not be able to say whether somebody can make it or not. Could you get back at the Maharashtra CET timeline slide? Sure, definitely I'll do that. Let's go back. So this is how the typical timeline will work. And so April is the first CET. Then May you have second CET. Generally the result will be out in May itself. Last year, till last year, there used to be only one CET. So April they would conduct CET, May they would declare the result. Then you have CAP, which is the centralized admission process announcement, which will happen in July. Then there is document verification that happens, and then there is a provisional merit list. Then final merit list was released in August last year, then CAP round 1 and 2, and then in September you had the CAP round 3. So typically all institutes begin their official program in the month of September. Okay, so that is how the entire flow happens. So till this point, you don't have to do anything for JBIMS. So only here, once the CAP announcement happens, there is some action that needs to be taken. I would say one thing that, as I said sometime back as well, people miss out on is of course the documentation. I mean, if you are eligible for a category, get the category certificate done. If you're eligible for domicile certificate, get it done. So those are the things to take care of because they can make a lot of difference to your candidature. Is it fine if I've added best of 5 for 10th? Yeah, that's absolutely okay. That's not going to create a problem because at the document verification stage, if they have an issue with it, they'll just highlight it to you. So don't worry about that. Prathamesh, what about preparation if started today? How to target overall good percentile to get in top 5 MBA colleges? Okay, so the first thing that I'll do if I'm starting today is to take a mock without any preparation. Just take a full length mock, 2.5 hours, 200 questions, see how much you score. Because then you firstly know what is the test that you're going to appear for eventually. And it gives you a starting point that, okay, maybe I'm at 50 right now, maybe I'm at 100 right now, and so on. And then you start going through the chapters. Okay, so just follow the normal class flow that you have. If you're an IMS student, you already have given everything to you in a systematic manner. Just go through it, start doing the topics, take care of topics one by one. There are some topics that are huge, so you can decide to push them a little bit in March. But in Feb, get most of the basic topics done, right? So when you look at quant, for example, numbers and arithmetic, try and do as many topics as you can under arithmetic in Feb itself. Abstract reasoning doesn't need a lot of theory as such. So when you do, let's say 15-20 questions of a particular type, you know how to solve that question type. Then of course do more questions so that you have better exposure, your pattern recognition starts becoming a little better. For VRC, you have to read a lot. So reading daily for, I would say 30-40 minutes will definitely help there to improve your comprehension, speed, focus, vocabulary, all of that. Mugging up words won't help too much, but you still have time. So I would say in Feb you can do that. But in March, you should stop overdoing vocabulary. You should instead focus on grammar, right? Because that is easier to handle. And then I would say in LR, there are a lot of small topics, series, coding, blood relations, sequential output, etc. So get the hang of it, how to approach those questions, and then do more questions over Feb and March. Okay, so the initial thing would be to just understand how to solve a question. So how do I do, let's say, a coding decoding question, right? For that, I have to know positions of A to Z, and I should be able to put those numbers very quickly and then see pattern. After I've solved, say, 15-20 questions of coding decoding, I know this is the approach, but I still need to do a lot more questions to get better at pattern recognition. Okay. Question from Warriors. I found IMS mocks on the portal, but I can't find masterclass or sessions for Maharashtra CET on IMS portal. Can you please guide? Please raise a ticket because see, different students have different variants. Some could be, I mean, I don't know whether you're a test series student or a classroom for CAT or for CET. Just raise a ticket and they will help you out. What should we do on a daily basis in remaining days? I haven't covered all syllabus yet. Okay, so Divya, as I said in the beginning, somewhere around 10 mocks in Feb is a good target. 15 mocks in March, that's also a decent number. If you don't want to do 10-15, I would say you can do something like 8 mocks in Feb, which is 2 per week, which means that you will be taking mocks while you are preparing. So you do a couple of topics, take a mock, then do a few more topics, take a mock, and you'll just continue to do this. So there's no way to do like complete 100% of preparation and then you will say, okay, fine, now let me start taking mocks. That's not going to be a good strategy because it takes a while for you to get better at speed based test, right? So anything like a CET, to get better, you have to do a lot of mock test. And I would say something like a 20-25 is a good enough number for most of the students. You might need even more than that, but that's up to you. Okay. But I would say do a topic, which is basically doing the theory, the concepts, class exercise. If you do at least this much, then you know how to solve or at least manage yourself with that particular topic. And then whenever time permits, you keep doing more questions. Daily, see, I think at a CET level, the kind of questions that they ask, I think for any candidate, it's possible to do about 60, 70, 80 questions per day. Okay. See, with CAT, we typically say you can do, say, 30-40 questions a day, right? Because the average time taken per question would be higher. In CET, because the average time taken per question is not going to be that high, I think 60, 70, 80 questions are doable for anybody. And as we progress, that number should ideally increase, right? Because see, when you do a mock test, you're doing 200 questions on a day. let's say you end up solving 150 questions genuinely, you will still have 50 questions that you can solve on that particular day while you're analyzing. So on that day, you do 200 questions. So it's definitely possible to manage like 60, 70, 80 or even 100 questions per day. Ayush, I answered your question. It's definitely fine if you've done best of 5. So don't worry about it. Why is Wellinker's CET percentile so high? Because the colleges are limited, right? So there are very few good B schools at the national level that you have through the Maharashtra MBA CET. See, I'm not saying the institutes below this are not worth it. What I'm trying to say is that at a national level, a lot of them don't feature in the top ranking, right? So because there is, and we're still going to have a lot of competition for this. Okay. Question from Crazy Experimenter: how to manage CAT interviews and CET prep? I scored 99.56 last year. So firstly, 99.56 is pretty solid. So you know what is required to get to a higher score, right? Just start taking mocks. You focus on your interviews in Feb, and whenever time permits, whenever you get some time, just take one mock of CET, see how much you score. Remaining questions that you're not able to solve, revise those topics or concepts. Just keep doing that in Feb. Don't take too many mocks in Feb. Keep more mocks for March, because in Feb most of your interviews will get done. What is a safe score for 19? Okay, so is 160 a safe score for 99.99? No, no, definitely not. So see, firstly, what exactly they do, and there's a follow-up question from you whether there's a normalization. There's a lot of gray area there, right? And why there is a gray area is because they don't release your final score. So what they did last year also was you took the test. Now you can figure out, okay, how much you are scoring, which is basically through the answer sheet that they release. But there were a lot of questions with errors. Now they mentioned how many questions they accepted and all of that, etc. So you will know your score, but you will not know scores of others, correct? So that is why, and you will get final percentile only in your scorecard. There is nothing. They will not mention this is your score or your scaled score, and then this is your percentile. They will just issue percentile. So that is where there's a problem. Though they say that they basically have 100 percentile in each of the slots. So in every slot, there will be a percentile calculation. If you're saying that, then technically you're not normalizing scores, right? You are just allotting percentile for that particular slot, and that is what you're using. So that is why there is a bit of gray area or unclear this thing as to what exactly they do. But last year, in my slot, I had 167, and that wasn't 99.99. It was 99.97. So ideally, if you're targeting 99.99, your aim should be to do like 170 or more, considering last year's difficulty. See, if they change the difficulty this year, that number will drop. So when I was a student, for example, during my time, I think 160 was or 161 was like the last 99.99 percentiler. And last person to get in my batch was 152, if I recall correctly. How is CET different from OMETS or CMAT or CAT in terms of test taking? It's a out and out speed based exam, right? So you have to be very, very fast while you're solving. CAT is a test of depth. CET is a test of how quickly you can solve questions. Questions are not very, very difficult. So that is how they differ, and you of course have less time per question. So in CAT, when you look at the format, you have more questions, you have decent enough time per question. In CET, you have less than a minute per question. You're welcome, Sakshi. Cool gamer, could you compare SNAP and CET comparison, as I got 96 in SNAP? Oh, so 96 in SNAP is pretty good, and it's a good proxy to work with. So I would say somebody who gets a 96 percentile in SNAP is possibly like a 99 percentile in CET, right? Because different ball game, firstly, and what you're telling me is that you're good at speed-based exams. So I would say 96 in SNAP is like a decent 99 at least in CET. Sonali, in MBA CET form, should we calculate all semester aggregate percentage, or should we fill percentage of last 2 semester only? Aggregate, so all semesters. Does CET have previous year papers? Yes. So last year they released papers, and that's a good thing that they have done. So we have also made those papers available in my IMS. We'll be making all of them available soon. So for last year, yes, they are available. Okay, but there are books in the market that say questions papers from last 10 years and all of that. Those are not available, by the way. So those are what we call memory based questions. So somebody after the paper came out and said, okay, fine, the question was like this. So somebody wrote a question. So till CET 2024, they never released papers in public domain. Okay, but I think 2008 to 2013, that's the only reliable paper range, because that time they never released the papers even back then. But those papers have seen and they are very close to what actually happened. But after that, papers were never available, and I don't think any book in the market should be trusted on that front. Shiv Prasad, do we have previous papers and mocks in the IMS portal? Yes, you will get past 5 papers, so from 25, CET 25, and you will have, of course, 20 mocks that will be given to you. Sonali, percentage of diploma as 12th MBA CET exam should be calculated all semester? Again, all semester. Where to see previous marks versus percentile of Maharashtra CET? So a little bit difficult, because at a point of time they used to publish all that information. So at a point of time they would give CET score as well as percentile on the mark sheet, and they would even publish document containing names of everybody who has taken the CET. So at that time there was a lot of transparency. In the last couple of years they have stopped doing that, and for different slots the score versus percentile thing differs a lot. So that is why there's no accurate data that is available. But I'll see if I can post something on crackingcet.com. I'll just post it there. Can you share this college list? Okay, this is there on the CET Cell website. So if you search for CET Cell CAP, you go to this section called MBA MMS, and in that section you go in the center where you have this cutoff list for all India seats or cap round 3, and you will find this. If you are giving MAT, which colleges should we apply at this time? Asta, unfortunately, you don't have a lot of great options through MAT. So the only reason why I would recommend you to take MAT would be to target some of these institutes, as you can see here, because you can apply under the All India seat. But otherwise, direct institutes through MAT, not very great. You can check out on the B school zone if you can find a few options. What minimum rank should I achieve for JBIMS? As you can see there, All India rank 55 was the last person to get in last year. I already have the basics clear. This is from Dishika. I already have the basics clear since I did SSC and bank prep. Should I go for mocks? Yeah, definitely. But on alternate days, if you start doing it, right, you're looking at what, 34, 33 mocks? That may not be even required. So you have to first decide how many mocks would you need. As I said, start with like 10 mocks, 10 to 12 mocks in Feb, remaining in March, and then you decide if you want to further increase that frequency. Okay. Tanisha, how should we manage CT prep along with prep for UG final exam in April if you want to start from scratch? Okay, so UG final exam definitely matters a lot. Your percentage will matter for life, and you have to take care of that. But once you have taken care of your studies, whatever extra time you get, you will have to optimize that, maybe cut out on some fun activities that you do, etc. See, ultimately it is going to be, say, about 2 hours a day, right? 2.5 hours. If you're taking a full length mock, then 2.5 hours, plus analysis time of about, say, 1.5 hours. So around 4 hours on that particular day. So let's say 4 hours on a particular day, next day about 2 hours of prep. So if you can find on average 3 hours per day for CET prep, I think you will have a pretty good amount of time available. And alongside that, you will have to manage your college exams. But priority wise, college exams definitely. Do we have to apply separately for Wellinger for CET? Okay, so good question again, Shiv Prasad. Wellinger has 2 different programs. There is MMS and then there is PGD. The MMS program is what we are talking about here, which is the Master of Management Studies. The admission will be through centralized admission process. For their PGDM program, they conduct their own process. So right now, if you go to Wellinger website, you will see applications, etc. That is for PGDM program. For that, they have their eligibility. They mention all the tests that they accept. You can apply for that. They conduct group discussion, interview, etc., and select candidates. For the MMS program, they will not be conducting any interviews, etc. It's same process for all of these institutes. Just take the Maharashtra MBA CET or any other All India test, participate in CAP round, and then there is a allotment that happens. Is there any difference between MMS and MBA degree? To the outside world, not really. I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as you have done something which is a 2-year full-time MBA program or equivalent, the name of the degree doesn't matter, because see, IIMs also give, some of them give PGP, some of them give MBA, NSPJMR gives a PGDM, some of them give MMS, then some MBA. Essentially, it's all the same, right? So it's not going to make a difference. MMS and MBA in JBIMS, is it same or different? There's no MBA in JBIMS, it's just MMS. But again, to the outside world, you go and tell people, I'm doing MBA from JBIMS. You don't say I'm doing MMS from JBIMS. Is this recording available for later? Yes, definitely. Too boring for CET paper anyway. I mean, see, if you find the test to be boring, I'm not sure if you're taking the right test, right? I mean, you have to enjoy the test. See, I've rarely seen people who feel that or they are sad about their preparation, or they don't like a test, and then they've gone and done very well on the test. So if you want to crack it, you have to enjoy the prep and like the format as well. And if you don't like the format also, you have to understand that it is just a temporary thing. So for how many days you have to like the CET format for the next whatever 68, 69 days that are ahead of us. After that, you can always say CET was boring as a test. But right now, I will not make that statement. Is there a book that you recommend? No, I don't have any particular recommendation for any of the books. I mean, if I have to prepare, if let's say I consider myself as a student and I'm starting my prep, I'm definitely not going to buy any book, right? I will rely more on mock test series. Hishita, I scored 97 in CAT but missed one sectional cutoff. I'm trying for JB. Is that possible? So firstly, for JBIMS, you have multiple options. As I mentioned, there are 3 programs that it offers. And for this, you have to have a CET or a CMAT very high score, like a 99 point something. But for MSc Finance and MHRD program, they have lower cutoffs. So typically the CAT cutoffs for these two are 95, which means you can definitely make it. If you're interested in finance, definitely look at the MSc Finance program that is offered. From which resources should we start reading for verbal? You can start reading anything. So just read any newspaper, that's also enough for MBA CET. Aditya, I got 120 marks in my first IMS mock and 143 in test funder. Do you think there's a good chance to get JB? I would say decent enough chance, because 120 is a pretty solid starting. But see, I'll tell you my story when I started my prep, right? My first attempt. In the first mock itself, I think I had got 130. And I felt that that's a good starting point. I'll be able to really do well in the final as well. But that first attempt, I wasn't even clear about what I was supposed to do. So I would take a mock on Sunday and then show up for the next mock on next Sunday without doing anything in between. And my scores remained stagnant. So 130, 120, 125, stuff like that. Eventually, I got 136, 137 only. But the problem was because I wasn't doing anything in between. So as long as you do the right things, your score will improve. But if you're not doing the right things, then it will remain flat or it will marginally increase. So just take care of that. So don't get overconfident. That's all I would say. Yeah, you're welcome, Dishika. Aditya, when will the percentile be released for the mocks, as it becomes really difficult to know where we currently stand in terms of prep? Yeah, that's thanks for pointing that out. We generally need a decent enough sample to give percentile, so we'll just wait for some time. In Feb, we will start releasing these percentiles. Saurabh, getting 100 in mocks, again, that's a good starting. Well, you're welcome, Tanisha. Sonia, I have scored 90 in the first CT mock. With a proper, can I reach a good institute? Definitely. I mean, see, anybody who is in the range of, I would say, 80, 90, 100, 120, all of you have shot at good institutes. The thing with pushing your score, right? How much you can push depends a lot on your natural aptitude, how much effort you can put in, how much time you have, are you putting the right effort, what will happen on the D-Day, right? See, I've taken CET so many times. And last year I was like very confident after I came out of the test that I'm going to get a 99.99. I didn't get it. And there have been years when I haven't done well, right? So there is no guarantee that even with a lot of prep, you will be able to definitely hit a 99.99. I think the only time I was super confident was when I was as a student, that I walked out of the test and I kind of knew that I have done really, really well on the paper. But till that point of time, even I was like, I may or may not get a 99.99. So you have to keep putting the effort without worrying about, okay, how much will you score on the final day, because you haven't seen that paper and you will never know what is exactly going to happen. But you put the effort that is required for a 99.9. So I should not feel after the test that, hey, if I had taken few more mocks, I would have done well. That is the regret that you get. That should not happen. Okay, should we give both attempts of CET? Definitely. Do we have GK in MAH-MBA CET? No. I am a student of IMS, all syllabus is done. Should repeating that only from recording and books be enough? Yes, definitely. I mean, you don't have to repeat the whole thing, but just quick revision of every topic. So you can, in fact, you can do one topic a day revision and the mocks, and you would still be fine. I have 240 in NMAT, so this knowledge can be the base for CET? Definitely. So if you have done NMAT and 240 again is a reasonable score there, I think your CET core prep is done, but take care of the additional topics that I mentioned, like abstract reasoning and logical reasoning. Any thoughts about SRCC GBO program? Good program, good return on investment, but pretty competitive to get in considering very limited seats are available, but give it a shot. Sniper, can we get MSc Finance, HRD in JB and MSc Finance in SIMS3 by CET for non-Maharashtrian general? If yes, what's the percentile? So they have never released the Maharashtra versus non-Maharashtra data there. What happens for these two programs is that the reservation is applicable only to Maharashtra state candidates and 50% of the seats are reserved. So when you look at 40 seats, 20 are reserved for reserved category students from Maharashtra. The remaining 20 are open, which means that for those 20, Maharashtrians are also fighting and non-Maharashtrians are also fighting. So it becomes very competitive to get in, and they have never released the exact data as to how many students from Maharashtra or not from Maharashtra. So that is why I can't exactly comment on it. But should you try for it? The answer is yes. Does 2 months VRC enough for CT? Yes, see, VRC prep even 1 month should put you in a good position. Now, how good you want to make it is up to you. So generally what I like to do is my VRC is not very bad. So I make it a point to get to a score of say maybe around 40-ish or more out of 50. And if I put more effort, I can possibly get better, but then is it worth it? That is the question that you need to answer. So should I be okay with 1 month of effort or 1.5 months? Depends on how much increment is it going to bring to you. For other colleges, JB, KJ, NL Dalmi and Chetna, do I have to apply separately for PGDM? JB does not have a PGDM. So there's no application at this point of time. KJ, NL Dalmia and Chetna, these are not part of this as you saw for the PGDM program. So PGDM program, you have to make a separate application to the institute directly. What's the cutoff for OBC, NCL, Maharashtra, domicile and required marks? So it varies from year on year. There's no fixed number that I can give you, but we have that data on the B School zone. So you can check it out from there, or on the CET cell website itself, it is available. I'll just show you how to check it out because the data is easily accessible for anybody and everybody. So if you go, let's look at the first round because that is where you will find information. Oh no, so we are at the final merit list. Merit list won't help us. We need cutoff list for cap round 2 is here. Cap round 1 for Maharashtra minority seat, cap round 1. So this is what we should be looking at. And then you will have to search for JBIMS in this. Okay. Where do you search here? Anyway, so in this document you will find it. I wish I could search in this, but I don't see that option. Anyway, you can check it out for yourself. You will be able to find it quite comfortably. But here you will find everything. So just to see, for example, let's talk about Atharva College. So you will see open, SC, NT, home candidates, what were the cutoff. Then other than home university, so basically outside Mumbai University, what were the cutoffs. Then you will find state level seats, what were the cutoff, EWS, TFWS, all of that data is available here. How to fill MBA CT form as Kashmiri migrant? Can a Maharashtra domicile candidate apply in the KM category? I'm not very sure of this because maybe this is like the first time that I've received that question. But if you're a Maharashtra domicile candidate, you apply as a Maharashtra state candidate for now, and that's it. What would be the best approach to cover the speed accuracy gap? More and more mocks, definitely, but with intentional prep. See, when you take a mock and you realize that, okay, this is the gap area, but you do nothing about it, that's not going to help you. So you'll have to spend some time working on that content, and that's the only way to get better. The other element is strategy. So how much time you spend, do you realize that maybe you're overspending time? So I have like a very fixed limit, and the order also I have more or less fixed, that I start with abstract reasoning, about 20 minutes there, 20-25. Then I move to quant generally, or verbal. Then I move to either verbal or quant, and LR is my last thing that I do. So I never do LR in the beginning. And then I do a round, which is very, very quickly, making sure that I'm doing all the easy questions to build the base of my score. And then I go back to section selectively to improve my score. So that is the strategy that I follow. You can try it out and see if it works for you. How many hours to study? I would say about 2 to 3 hours would be good enough for most of the students, but depending on your score, you may have to increase it. MSc in finance, is it included in cap round 1 or will I have to apply separately? Separate. I have already make that statement very clearly here. Process is conducted by JBIMS for MSc finance and MHRD. It has got nothing to do with cap rounds. Cap rounds only happen for Master of Management Studies. Can you upload a series on VRC for CET, mostly grammar? Sure, we'll see what can be done about this. We are planning to shoot a couple of videos on CET strategy. I'll see if I can cover the VRC as part of it. Minimum marks should I target for this year for JBMS? Considering last year's difficulty, I think 160 maybe, somewhere around that. If I start studying for Maharashtra CET MBA, is it enough to crack right from scratch? Possible, but can't say without having a look at your mock scores. What's the CET cutoff for Masters in Finance at JBMS? 97 is generally the cutoff that they keep. How is MIT WPU, I think, or VPU, college for MBA? I don't have a lot of information about it. I'll have to check out the placement report. But based on whatever I've heard from the past, I would say average. Okay. How to remember vocab? Oh, you remember vocab when you use it. So if I tell you a word right now and I tell you, okay, this is the meaning of the word, unless you use it in a statement somewhere, in a sentence at some point of time, you're not going to remember it. So whenever you study a new word, make a statement, try and use it in a sentence somewhere. That's the way to retain it. Is it equally difficult for a Maharashtra general candidate to get in as an all India candidate for JBMS? See, it's difficult for both. It's not easy for anybody. I mean, if somebody says it is easy for Maharashtra students to get in, no, that's not the case. See, because you have to look at it from that angle, right? As how many people from Maharashtra are taking the test and how many Maharashtra seats exist, how many people from all India are trying, and then how many all India seats exist. So that is why there's no merit in statement that it is easy for Maharashtra students to get in. It's just that the number of seats for which you're fighting is more when it comes to Maharashtra seats, but there are also more Maharashtrians fighting for it. So that is why it's pretty difficult. See, the way I, even as an aspirant, right, looked at it is because when I took CET also, there were 1.1 lakh takers. And my mentor had brilliantly put it for me. So he mentioned that how many seats do you need? So when somebody says, okay, there are 10 seats, there are 30 seats, there are whatever, 44 seats, how many do you need? And you need only one. So you always think from that angle that I just need one seat. It doesn't matter how many are there, but I need one and let me fight for that. When is the response sheet supposed to be released? They typically release it in like 2 weeks time. but you never know. With CET cell, you never know. I don't have a lot of trust with CET cell. Satvik, is it advisable for non-master candidate to apply since there are very less seats due to reservation? Yeah, you should apply. What's the worst thing that happens is you don't get a shortlist or you don't get a convert. That's okay. You'll recover that money at some point of time. But then you at least know that you put up a fight, right? You made an effort. Then there is no regret. But if you think, no, I should have applied after the admission process is over, then that is a bad position to be in. I'm from SBC category. Which category should I apply in? Because in JBM seat matrix, there's no mention of SBC category. So there is no SBC category mentioned anywhere that I am also aware. So whatever questions that they have asked, just answer those questions and it will automatically capture which category you will belong to. I belong to Maharashtra NCOBC. How much do I have to score to get into JBMS? As I mentioned, that information is there. See, right now, I can't give you one number, and basically, even if I give you that number can change for this year's CET. It might increase or it might decrease. So don't get fixated with those numbers because that's not going to help anybody. It depends on CET's difficulty. Is quant all about 10% log, 70% repetition, 20% manipulation? No, there's nothing like that. Are there any MSCT mocks on IMS portal? Yes, there are 20. Are there test centers outside Maharashtra? This year, no. So till last year they had centers. This year they haven't put up any centers outside Maharashtra. That's what we know, at least at this point of time. Ideal marks to convert JBMS, I would say about 160 if you're a general candidate or more. And that also, or rather than saying that way, I would say if you can get what happened to our document, it went somewhere. So when I downloaded the one document, the other went away. Anyway, being in top 55 is basically what you need at an all India level to get into JB for general candidates. Okay, I think more or less we are done. So we are almost at 6 o'clock. We've been doing this for the last 1 hour. So I hope I've answered most of your questions when it comes to the MBA CET and JBMS application process. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can leave it as a comment on this video. I'll be very happy if I can answer it. But I hope this has helped you. It has given you an overview of what CET is all about, what JBMS is all about, what's the application process. But if you still have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Wish all of you all the best, and you will see me soon in some of the videos that we have planned in the near future. So till then, bye everyone. Take care.